the same 5 or 8 people that the commissioners don't care to listen to because they're the same 5 or 8 people.
Right.
But I will get billboards made up. I will run up and down streets and neighborhoods honking the horns and the flashing the lights and the whole 9 yards, making sure that people show up to these meetings if there's going to continue to be this push.
Push for
What the people don't want.
Okay.
Because it seems that other than 3 people that are up there in the committee, that the rest of them, it's just whatever the mayor wants. Let's make the mayor happy. And I understand it's a circle. Okay, I understand that there's a circle that it needs to be kept. Okay, and a lot of people lose sight of why they really may have started their position. Okay, I'm not saying you, I'm not pointing out anybody else, but many people that start off in the government, whether or not they're at the bottom or not, by the time they work their way up to the top, they feel they're untouchable. These cameras make an even playing field. Okay? Because just as much as you don't want 30 people recording you every single day, we don't want the corruption going on in the county. And there's one way to show the corruption, and that's through these cameras.
Define corruption. Is corruption, in your definition, we don't agree with you, so we're corrupt? Is that your definition?
I'm not going to get into what I have found as corruption in the county. That'll all be down the road. I will get to every portion of it.
Don't use that word too loosely, though, Dan. That's because, in my opinion...
Listen, it's something as simple as, I'm going to give you the simplest form of it right now. I was just over here at the Justice Center. There's a big sign on the wall. It says, click it or ticket. The next sheriff that pulled in there had no seatbelt on. Okay? If you're going to enforce seatbelt rules and have seatbelt signs, government officials need to wear their seatbelts. Okay? Many of them don't. Many of them have unlawful window tint on their vehicles. You may be one of them. The government, the city, the county writes tickets and pulls people over based on their window tint. So if any of that little small, we're just talking the minute, the very little deal, that is just the beginning. Okay? I have taken videos of certain areas and certain things over the past couple of years for my own stuff that I've been working on. And every time I walk into any government building, I find something else unlawful. I just haven't had the time to dig. I haven't had the time to pursue this. Now I do. And now there's more meaning behind what I've wanted to do the past couple of years. My first records request, I want every government employee, their name and their salary, 2020 up to December 31st. That way, when they screw up, I'm going to allow the public to know exactly how much money is being wasted. I want the same thing for the sheriff's department, because every time they violate somebody's rights or they unlawfully pull somebody over, I will be there myself or other people's with cameras once this gets going, and that'll be video recorded. I've already got an attorney lined up that'll take these cases on. I've already done my footwork. Like I said, if I was Linda Noe and involved in that, you'd have paperwork on your desk. I'm not here to make Hamblen County or City of Morristown in any kind of deficit at all. That's not what I'm here for. But if I'm going to make money while I'm doing this, so be it. And I'll take that money and I'll donate it where I know it's needed. So you can consider this a non-for-profit organization.
Okay.
I just want to let you know that. So I will visit every single of these commissioners here in the next few days. I will let them know the same thing that you and I sat here and talked about. And of course, it's going to be in place of their place of employment. So, I mean, I hope that doesn't cause anything, but I have my rights, and so does everybody else, to do that. So, when one person decides to spill the beans, then I guess we'll ride that sledge on the way down. But man to man, I think you need to take control of this county. I think you need to stop letting that little circle be too scared to voice their opinions. Because when they're by themselves, they open up and they tell how they feel. When they're back together, there's no backbone. People have voices. People know other people. It's a small town. It's a small area. When somebody screws up, everybody knows about it. Or at least now they will.
Well, let me suggest something, okay? I think that you don't need to come here in a confrontational tone. I think I've proven I'll listen.
Yep.
So you don't need to come here, you know, and raising your camera and being confrontational. You don't need to do that.
Oh, I was just holding it so that I could see the screen on it if I hold it way down low. My problem was when you tried to keep me out of the door.
Well, but you were being confrontational.
But you brought me out there. I wasn't being confrontational. I was asking questions.
All right, let's just stop. Let's just stop. It's differences of opinion, okay? Differences of opinion.
It is. But here's the difference between the opinions, okay?
That you're right and I'm wrong? Is that it?
No, that I am a citizen. You are a public official, okay? There's the difference. When you walk into this office, I have more rights than an employee of the government at that point in time. So if you want to kick me out, that's unlawful on you, okay? Just like if this lady wants to take my driver's license and make a copy of it to view public records, that is against my rights.
Is it all right? If it's okay, go ahead. Keep going.
It says it right here. I can make it doesn't require a written request. I can come in here and tell you exactly what I want and show up in 5 days.
7, I think.
I thought it was 5. 5, 7.
I mean, like if you want everybody's pay, okay, it's going to take longer than that, because you've also got to understand too, all right, is that our finance department is in the middle of W-2s and 1099. We've got a job to do, as well as honor your request.
But there's a file already there that states exactly what everybody has been paid and every employee here. It's a click of a button. It's not they have to go and put things together and look through paperwork. It's all there.
You know that for a fact?
I'm not that technically advanced, but I'm pretty darn sure. And if not, the government has a long way to go in upping its standards as far as technology goes.
All right. I mean, we'll honor your request, okay? But you've got to honor our policies too. It goes both ways.
But policy is not law.
Well, I'll check the law.
That's where the difference is. Any building here can have a policy. Policies do not trump rights.
Now, well, never mind. Okay.
No, you're the person to talk. Let's talk, because if I got to go ask somebody else, I'm not going to get your opinion. I want your opinion. You're the guy that sits on the top. This is you.
For us to meet state law or federal law, we have to have certain policies, and certain policies are in place to, for example, to honor a public records request. There's policies in place.
There's law in
And
place.
there's law in place. That's right.
But
And the policies are to implement the law.
Can you tell me one policy that trumps that law?
Which law?
The law that states that public records are open to the public. Just like you said, parts of that aren't open to the public.
But there's law that deals with that.
That's
There's
right.
exceptions.
And it says it's your responsibility to eradicate that from the document and still
Does it
present
say that?
it. Does.
For sure.
It does.
For
Yes.
sure.
Yes.
And you
Yes.
can show
Social
it.
Security
And
numbers.
you can show it.
Call the comptroller. Why? I'm not going to show you nothing. I don't have.
Well, then you're claiming that we're not following it.
Call the comptroller. I've got emails from them already stating this. Okay? This isn't my first public records request. I'm surprised this lady doesn't know who I am. She's got me in her computer. Okay? I just want a little openness. When people ask questions at these meetings, that is the opportunity for the public to be heard and for answers to be given. When you have somebody there giving a presentation on anything and the public has questions about that, as soon as that presentation is over, the public should be allowed to speak and voice their concerns, as well as the commissioners. Because if every commissioner sits up there and has no questions, something's going on. I have questions. If they can't think of one logical question to ask, are they really paying attention? I don't think so.
Honestly, what would you think? Wouldn't you want your commissioners to ask questions?
If my questions were answered.
Their questions aren't answered. They just now had access to this.
No, the plans have been evolving over months.
But the
And they've
planning
had
department
access.
wouldn't give it out.
And no, and I mean we had commissioners meet one-on-one with the architect to go over the plans with them. They've been involved since, and that's why there's not so many questions, is they've been involved throughout this process. Maybe not to the degree that you would want them to be, but they have been involved.
But that's what they're there for, to be to that level. Because
Now,
we can't be there.
No. You're going to have some commissioners who are going to be at that level, and then you're going to have some who are not. You're going to have some who have expertise in reading plans, and you're going to have some that are not. You're going to have some who have more expertise in other areas.
But reading plans and having expertise doesn't mean you can't ask questions. If you don't know and you can't read those, that's the people that have more questions. Because they can't do that and they can't read and come up with the answers themselves. So they ask questions. Asking questions is very important. That's how students learn, is by asking questions, not by being told information. It's about asking questions about what they don't understand is where they learn. It's no different than the commissioners not asking questions.
That's a difference of opinion.
How come we can't? How come we can't? But they don't listen to us. You need to tell them to listen. This is going to tell them to listen.
I'm not their boss.
This is going to tell them.
Commissioner's boss.
Well, they sure all look up to you.
Well, I've been here and I know what's going on. I've been here longer than all of them.
I know. I know you have. And things that happened years back in the commission meetings have now been changed or are in the process of being changed. They want to write new rules.
That was suggested by the lawyer, that we review our rules.
Right, because they screwed up royally.
And they admitted it.
They admitted it. You're absolutely right. And nothing was done. Nothing at all was done. If that was a corporation and that happened, that person be fired.
That's just not the way.
Or reprimanded.
Well, he was censored.
I've had people mention what a joke that was. I didn't even know. The guy went and sat down in another seat. One person went up there, blah, 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 and the next thing you know, he was back up there. I mean...
That's the way it is. I mean, that's the process.
That's why I'm here. And that's why video cameras is now going to be the new process, so that we can see these things, and these things can get out there and people can make their own decisions.
Okay.
I mean, I have absolutely nothing against the government when they realize that they're for the people.
But now you've got to understand, though, okay, that they're not always going to agree with you. And because they don't agree with you doesn't mean that they're wrong or they're evil, or you understand what I'm trying to say? There's going to be differences.
I want to see the facts. Without facts, an opinion is just a conversation.
Well, and then,
I mean, you're giving me this information. I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna look at it, and hopefully it's got some real great insight and opens up my eyes.
It does.
I hope it does. I really, really, truly do. I still don't want to flip that bill, even if it does make sense in 30 years. Because maintenance and upkeep on a building for 30 years is a lot if we're not even going to utilize 100% of it.
All right, let me explain something to you too. And I did not do a good job at the committees in explaining the shell idea. Okay, let me explain that to you. Okay, is the intent? All right, the intent is to build the whole thing out. That's the intent. Okay, now we also have X amount of dollars available to do it with. Okay. So what we're doing to bid the project out so that we get the best price is we're bidding the third floor as a shell. And then we're asking the construction companies to say, okay, if you build out this housing unit, it's going to cost this much, this much, this much, and this much, and this much. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, because what our project manager and our architect tells us, and mostly the project manager, because they're a construction company,
getting paid more, the facility cost, the more they make.
No, it's a fixed fee.
Okay.
On the project manager, it's a fixed fee.
Okay. Project manager is a fixed fee.
Okay. All right. Is if we bid it as complete the third floor, all right, but it came in over what we want to spend, and we start taking things out. Okay, what happens in the construction industry is the contractor will deduct less than 100% of what it cost.
Sure.
So it's more cost efficient for us to bid it as a shell and add than it is to bid it complete and take out.
Okay, so it's more cost efficient and effective to build it that way. Let's
to bid it
to bid it that way, or have it built that way if ultimately that's the way it comes. But in your eyes, okay, you personally, you don't think that it would be better off to have the third floor finished in case something happened to the first or second floor, so you can move those people up to the third floor?
Our goal is for it to be finished, yes.
Okay.
That is the best thing. The worst case scenario is that some of those housing units would not be built out. That's worst case scenario. And I said that last week.
Unfortunately, I was out of state, so I wasn't here for that. But what's the problem with having a single floor? What's the opposition against Jarnigan's ideas?
Well, for that space that we have to build 621 beds, we don't have room to do it all on a single floor. We have to go up.
How many beds are required now? How many inmates do we have on a average basis there?
Around 300.
Okay, so we have 300. So you're going to build it for double that capacity.
Whoa. Now, before COVID, okay, we were averaging 450-ish.
Okay.
Okay, our top day I think it was either 472 or 492. It was one of those.
Okay, and I know this is probably not your position, and I probably have to ask the sheriff. Unfortunately, he was unavailable. But out of all of those people that are housed over there, how many of them should have probably have had a lower bond set?
That's the court system.
That's the court system, right. So we are fighting your observation and what other people have said, but there's already cases against them that say that they're holding people on too high of a bond. That's already.
If you read the judge's order in that suit that was what? When did it come? November. The only of the arguments made in that suit, the only one that the judge agreed with was the need to have a bond hearing for everybody.
That would get people out.
That was the only of all the arguments. That was the only one.
And bond was what I was talking about.
And that's being done.
So there'll be less inmates that are housed there.
But we don't have the data on that. All we're doing is assumptions.
But we're also assuming that we need to spend that type of
we've got data
type of money.
We've got years of data to back that up. That's what's in these reports.
So all of these reports reflect the 70,000 residents. None of these are in bigger cities or counties.
No, that's all local data.
It's all local data.
Yeah, I think there is. They compare it to some state data and that kind of thing, but the local data is in those reports.
Okay.
Read those reports.
I will.
Talk.
No, I will.
Okay?
I will. But see where you have them over there? I mean, that's kind of difficult to find, right? I mean, I didn't know it was there. I've been on your all's website. It's not the easiest thing to navigate, right? I mean, and once again, I mean, that would help citizens be a little bit more versed at it. Because I'm not when it comes down to electronics, I let my kids deal with it. I want nothing to do with it, because if that thing don't plug in and work correctly when I plug it in, I go off the deep end. So by making this stuff easier access to the people who are citizens here, I mean, you wouldn't want everybody to come into your office or into there to make this request if it could just be viewed more easily.
You just click a couple of buttons.
I did. I see that. But it's on there. Is that the only place that it's on? As
far as I know. I mean, that's what we've done.
Okay, so if Hamblen County doesn't have a Facebook page?
We have a Facebook page. Yes, yeah, we do, I think.
Can we put that information on the Facebook page? Because there's a lot more people that are into Facebook than there are into YouTube. A lot of people disagree with YouTube, the nature of things that are on there.
I mean, well, that wasn't on YouTube. That was on the website. But, I mean, we can put a link on Facebook, sure.
Okay. I mean, it's all about getting the people involved.
I understand.
Right? It's absolutely, and if nobody reins in our officials, they run wild. Okay.
I disagree with, and I'm biased. I'll admit. Okay. I don't think you see that here. I think we've got very good officials here.
What I do see here, being from another state, is that Hamblen County is many years behind on where we actually should be as a government and as a society. Unfortunately. Hopefully, now I moved.
We're also a very conservative region.
We are.
Very conservative area.
We are. And it's hard to draw people here because of that.
I disagree with that.
Well,
I mean, we're having people move here from all over the country because our taxes are lower.
That's your reason right there. But once you increase them,
but
once you increase it, that's it. You have people moving here. Most of them have already retired or are close to retire, or they're working on their retirement. Okay, those people don't work. Okay, they're not out here in these shopping plazas and stores or your jail to be employed. The people we are bringing here is not the type of people that are going to continue to allow Hamblen County to succeed. We need to start focusing.
We disagree.
Of course, I mean, of course you do. Of course. But I can tell you, every time I go out of town, I see growth everywhere, up and down the highways. I don't see that growth here at all.
Okay.
At all. As a matter of fact, one of my records requests will be, I want to know how many new people moved into Hamblen County last year.
Well, you'll have to wait for the census data, when the census data is available. We don't have it yet.
Okay, then how many new homes? That's all I need. New homes, because you guys collect taxes on that, so that stuff's right away. That stuff will be there right away. It doesn't matter how many people, it's how many homes, how many properties have been built for people to move into. Whether or not it's 1 or 100. There hasn't been that many. Okay. So the growth just isn't there. Let's draw people in. Let's try to bring them here. The property taxes are great. That works. You know, the worst thing, and I know you have nothing to do, it's just conversation. But the chicken house, right in the middle of town. How could you ever expect for just the willing to want to come and have any kind of growth in this area, other than property taxes are low, housing and property is cheap? That's the draw. We can't be here for that. Because once this new president, if he's going to go up to $15 an hour, all that means is more money in the government's pocket in taxes. Everything goes up, but there's no more money in the private sector's pocket. Everything goes up. Taxes go up, price of living goes up, price of housing goes up, price of materials goes up. It all goes up. So it's not going to help here being at $15 an hour, because other places are making more than that. So it's not going to help us. It's going to make the housing go up. It's going to make the taxes go up. That's all it's going to end up doing. So we need to focus on right here. I don't know if there's anything you can do, but listen, I've got 4 children. We love to fish, but we refuse to fish here in Tennessee. There's not a family-friendly, safe area to fish that you actually catch fish. Yes, I could bring them to the dock over there and they can throw their line in there with the other 40 people on the dock. Nobody's catching anything. Okay? I know that doesn't have anything to do with you. You may be able to make a phone call and say, let's get a little area where family with children can fish. Maybe put a limit on there how old of an age group you can go there with. But you don't even offer that. I go to the parks and I get put in handcuffs by the police because they don't know the rules. And my kid wants to have a bicycle in the park, not riding it, just in the park where I can visually watch it. And I get put in handcuffs for that? That's not the way it should be. If I want to do something for my kids, with my kids, I can't take them to the park and let them do what they want within the rules and the laws, and I can't take them fishing. What else is there for kids to do here? Don't go start with sports. My kids played soccer for years. Till the following year, they had not enough coaches, so they couldn't play. The next season, same thing. They couldn't play. It's now been 2.5 years and they don't play. So what do? They're into video games. They hang out at the house. I can't even let them go and play with friends because of the type of people that are here to associate with. Their family, their parents. I'm not going to let my kid over there. So what do? The kids come to our house to play. You think that's right for my kid? No. My kid wants to go out, do other things. But I have no options. There's no options here. At least when I moved here, there was some games places and arcades where I could bring them to during the wintertime and let them get out of the house. So I think instead of a justice center, we need something for the kids in the community so they grow up not committing the crimes that we need the justice center for.
Well, I mean, the city of Morristown will build in the community center.
Are they doing it all the way on the east end? I mean, on the west end over there? Right, where the money is, right? I'm not driving all the way over there. They should have put something small on this side for us and something small on that side for them, instead of spending one big lump sum. It'd help out. I mean, we need to concentrate and focus on our children. Our children, they're the difference.
I understand.
Okay? My kids, most of them are on a higher grade scale than the other students. A lot of that has to do with the language barrier. I understand that, okay? But they are on different organizations that you have to have certain grade requirements for. Those kids are the ones that are going to make the difference in our government in the future. They're the ones that you need to hope prosper and thrive. Because right now we're not prosperous. We're not thriving as a community before this whole COVID thing. It's definitely not helped with the COVID. I moved here 2007, the end of 2007. 2008, the economy hit flat, okay? February. So I never got to see Hamblen County as this thriving place. All I have is photographs from 1950s and beyond, okay? And I see there's building everywhere, there's cars everywhere, there's people running around, there's people doing things. It looks busier back then than it does now. All that money was put on Main Street, and the only time I really ever see anybody up there on those top floors is during the parades, which was canceled this year because of COVID. You know that literally I could have had my own parade. Nobody could have stopped me. Anybody could have. Why would the government say, you know what, we're taking this from people? Have them come out. If they want to wear a mask, let them wear a mask. But we shouldn't be penalized because of government's overreaction sometimes. I just think we really, really need to get focused more on the kids. More on the organizations. If you guys have to start paying coaches some kind of a wage to show the heck up. Because even when there is, and we've got to sit there and we have a 12 o'clock game and there's nobody out there to ref it because they didn't show up that day. And now we have to wait for another ref to finish another game to come over here and nicely ref our game. That's not looking good. Doesn't help our kids. Our kids see clutter. I don't want my kids to see clutter. That's why I moved here. I moved here for a better life for my kids. He was 3 months old. Now I have 4. That means my family has grown. Okay? I took that into account when he was 3 months old. I was working 7 days a week and I didn't want to anymore. I moved here. Now I'm working all the time anyways with 4 kids. And I don't want to do that. I need to start stepping it back because I need to start reeling in what life is really about. It's great making money. It's great going out there and doing things. But my kids are only kids once. And I'm losing the time that I have to hang out with my kids. And there's nowhere that I can bring them to do that. There's nowhere here. Do you have children that you raised here?
Oh, yeah.
And what did they do? What did they do for fun when they, growing up on a regular daily basis?
Rode bicycles, played with friends, played ball. What else did we do? I mean, they're all girls, so I mean, we had plenty.
Okay, so riding bikes. I was told by a police officer that my kids and all kids should ride their bicycles in the parking lot or the street because it's off limits in the park. I was flabbergasted. I took a step back. I've got it on video. I mean, if you ever want to decide you want to see that footage, I have it. Told me my kids should ride their bikes in the parking lot and on the streets instead of the public park because they feel that the people walking have more rights than somebody on a bicycle. Yet, there's a park that was funded by federal funds, and bikes are allowed on the same path as pedestrians. It's the same size. So because one was funded and required to be opened up to both, it is. So there's no reason for it to be punished anywhere else. Now, it's not punished because I went and I spoke to the head of the Parks and Recreation, and he told me kids are allowed to ride their bikes there. But the ranger that's under him, that's been there for many years, obviously had his own agenda, right? Because he's the one that called the cops. He's the one that showed them on there the specific wording of what they wanted. I showed the officer that there was not a lawful sign there. I questioned the officer if bicycles are not allowed in the city park. Why is the bike rack in the middle of the park? If they're not allowed, each entrance would have a bike rack with a sign that says bikes are permitted here. No, the law states that bikes are not permitted in the splash pad, play areas, pavilions. There's a couple of other areas. Okay? That is what is written. But that's not what has been enforced. Because I've also got video of many, many kids riding their bikes in the street, in the parking lot. And when I asked their parents why, it's because that guy told them bikes were not allowed in the park. Luckily, there hasn't been any incidents. Nobody's been hurt, at least not that I know of. Because trust me, if there was, I'd be on top of it. Okay? So it's little things that are affecting the people. The people. A lot of your employees, a lot of Morristown employees don't understand what the rules and the regulations and what rights they lose when they are sitting behind their desk. Because I've never brought a camera to somebody that didn't freak out. But I'm always respectable. I always thank them for their time, for the opportunity, and I'm not here to make anybody's day miserable. But people's uncomfortableness should have been addressed the day they were hired. Listen, you want this job, this is what the job entails. You may be photographed. Your records may be requested. That is part of being an employee. If you're okay with that, great. Show up on Monday. If you're not, the private sector is for you. Don't become a government employee. So I'm not here to cause any disruption between the employees. But the ones that have the way to enforce and to make change, those are the people that I need to conversate with and need to come to an understanding that it's more than just about what the government wants. It's about the people. We're the one paying for everything that the government does. Comes out of us. Any lawsuit affects us. Any spending that shouldn't be spent is on us. It all comes out of our pocket. And when the government has more money, the government wastes more money. The maintenance on things slack. I don't know if you've ever checked out any of the public vehicles or any of the police vehicles or anything. There's 2 tires, police tires, sitting over there by a trailer. There's like no thread on them at all. At all. They're bald. That's not safe for whatever cop car that came off of. Should have been off many, 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 many miles prior to that. They have unlimited funds. With unlimited funds comes outrageous spending. It needs to be brought back in on every single level. And if audits are the way to do it and to make it known to the people, then that's what it needs to be. You know, the school board, they send us letters multiple times a week. I got 4 kids, right? So I get like 4 letters of the same. Every letter is in Spanish and English on the same page. So yes, they're using the same paper, but it's taking twice as long and using twice the amount of toner. If they don't know by the second or third week what parents speak English and what parents speak Spanish, they need to figure that out. Because that's my money that could be going someplace else instead of toner and time that the school board needs. I've donated to the school board. We've done it multiple times, not just in money or paper and stuff like that. Our time, we've donated to them. We're probably, we're somewhere between probably the $12,000 and $15,000 range of what I've donated to the school board over the years that I've been here. And because of this city, and I'm not going to get into details, I haven't donated anything in 4 years. In 4 years. And they need it. Start off with the toner. And I'll go, and I've got stuff I need to go sit down with the board. And I will discuss that with him. Okay? And I have no problem with doing that. But it's the little things. They all add up. You want that $75 million jail? Take money from everywhere else that's being spent on waste. Utilize those funds. They're already coming out. We're already paying them. There's just a lot of waste. A lot of expense that is just oversight. And if you don't say nothing about it as being on the top, nobody else does. Nobody else does. It starts with you and it ends with you. Because if you don't take control over it, they get away with it. And if nobody tells them that they're doing wrong or it's not accepted, they continue to do that. That's what we need. We need help from you. I need help from you. The people need help from you. The commissioners do not listen. They don't answer our questions. They don't give us the time to address any questions. We're allowed to speak our mind, and the very next thing, it's a done deal. There's not even any kind of back and forth about what somebody said between the commissioners, between yourself, between the attorney, between anybody else that is in there that has the right to open up and voice their opinions. The people with the backbones. Did you serve in the military? No. I never served in the military. I started working when I was 11 years old. I didn't have time for that. But my very best friend retired a few years back, did 20 years. 20 years in the military. Only reason he got out is because he seen the difference in the type of people that the military was producing or bringing in, the people that were available, that he was getting called out at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning because somebody touched somebody inappropriately. He wasn't signed up for that. So after his 20 years, he got out. Okay? And I thank him for his service, the many times that he went overseas and fought for us. He fought for our rights to make America a different country than other countries. Our amendments, our Constitution gives us right to grieve against our government because they know the government's going to mess up. That is why it's there. I'm not looking to throw nobody under the bus. That's definitely not the point in any of these videos, any of what I'm trying to do. But we need to reel this in. It's 2021 now. It's not even 2022. It's time to really up the game. I mean, I don't know how many more years you have because I don't get into that. But you're sitting in front of me today. And if we can make a change for the better, great. If I'm still here for the next person, then I'll take it up with them. And I will be sitting down and hopefully having a cordial conversation like this with everybody that is high up in the city and in the government. Okay? Because I have every right to sit down and to do this. And I appreciate you for you taking this opportunity to sit down with me and not telling me